Hey everyone, just a quick message. First, I wanted to apologize for not posting the last few months. Life did get turned upside down, but I'm going to start posting again from here on out, even amongst all the chaos. First up is an excerpt from an interview I did with Tracii Guns frontman Phil Lewis. If you'd like to listen to the entire interview, we started another YouTube channel called Full and Bloom Plus. A link to the entire interview can be found in the description. The Full and Bloom Plus channel will feature more of the long-form podcast-style interviews, as well as interviews with more obscure artists, interviews from our archives, plus a bunch of bonus material. So if you'd like to be updated as new content is uploaded to Full and Bloom Plus, make sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell. A link to Full and Bloom Plus can also be found in the description. And lastly, to the old and new subscribers and those who stuck around, thank you so much. Here's the Phil Lewis clip. I interviewed Jim Faraci, who recorded the first album.
Oh, wow. That's a name from the past.
Yeah. And I actually did. I've interviewed him a few times, but I interviewed him on one of them where we just focused on the Tracii Guns album because I was just a huge fan of it. So we get kind of nerdy on the, like what he used.
Oh, God. What was the name? Broccoli was the engineer as well at that time. A really, really nice guy was Jim's assistant. And I remember those days very, very well. I don't, honestly, really remember them terribly fondly. It was, for me, it didn't make sense that a band like Tracii Guns was recording in the same studio as Bernie Taupin and Fleetwood Mac. The Village Recorder wasn't where we should have been in Joe's basement with a 16-track. But because we were so wrapped up in that whole corporate sausage machine at that point, which Jim was a big, big part of, that was it. And there was a lot of money.
He's coming from the Ratt record, so he's doing Ratt. And I think Ratt recorded all their albums, or at least a majority of those early ones at Village Recorder, I believe.
Yeah, sure. It makes sense for them, but it just felt too posh for me. And I think of all the trouble we went to make that album sound dirty because it's such a clean studio. I just think we would have been a lot better off doing it. But they didn't have those kind of studios. And the label, Bob Scorrow, would have scoffed us out the room at the suggestion of that. But I just find it a little polished. I'm not sure, next time you speak to Jim, whether the bongos, the congas on No Mercy were really necessary. No Mercy. If you listen to it, turn it up loud, you can hear goddamn congas. We're sitting around, well, what else can we put in it? What else can we do? What else? Yeah, a little overindulgent, but still, I'm incredibly proud of it. And when you brought up his name, I certainly put a smile on my face. He was Bob Scorrow's buddy, and as you say, he was involved in the Ratt stuff, and yes, Tracii Guns are part of that sausage machine. The Bon Jovi, the Cinderella, the Poison, Def Leppard. We were the next batch. That's how we ended up going through the same conveyor belt, I guess.
He, of course, talked very highly of everybody, but he mentioned something like too many cooks in the kitchen. And of course, he'd always say it in a nice way. But I got the feeling like it was Mick, maybe was very opinionated. And I wondered with Kelly Nichols and Steve Riley's band, why he isn't in your band, or is that not wanting too many cooks in the kitchen, or is that?
Well, yeah, I did mention a little earlier about, I've got 3 songs, I got 4 songs on the record. There was a lot of that crap. And yeah, Mick and Kelly were very aggressive in their ideas, their choices, and their contributions. When I joined it, it was very much a democratic band. And then when Nicky quit, and then we got Riley, was somebody else that was just so incredibly opinionated, it really, really became a fucking nightmare. Because we got these 5 guys with all different ideas, And then you've got your producer, and then you've got the guy at the record company, and then you've got your manager. And all these people are pulling you in different directions. No, don't do that. Do this. You should do it this. No. Now, my song's better because this one's in the key of B, and all the others, they're all in E, and that gets boring. And it's like really stupid shit like that. And that was in abundance, and that's gone. And no, that would never, ever go back to that. There was a time when at the beginning of the reunion, we reached out to Kelly and invited him to be involved, but he didn't want to do it. He didn't like the direction we were going. He wasn't really enthusiastic about it at all. But he was offered. There's nothing we can do about poor old Steve. I've spent a lot of time with Steve Riley. I've been in the trenches with him. We've had some good times. We've had some really tough times. I think of him as a road brother. I can't think of him as a friend because we never once had dinner. He never said, "Oh, it's Friday, come over," and I've never hung with him. So I really don't know what he's like, and that's pretty amazing for somebody that you've been playing with for that long. I know Tracii like the back of my hand, but somebody like Steve Riley is just so incredibly elusive. But yeah, I mean, when you listen to the drums on The Missing Piece, and you listen to Shane Fitzgibbon fucking laying it down thick, you have to ask yourself, could Riley do that? Is he physically capable of playing like that? And the answer is probably not. And that's no slight. It is the way it is. Lots of people are getting old, and it's a lot more challenging. So I honestly don't think that physically Steve would be up to it. And I don't think Mick's really interested in anything other than a weekend gig and getting drunk on English beer. And I mean that in the kindest way, of course. I got no hard feelings. I'm not sore, not bitter about anything for those guys. I get why they did it, and it was when you do everything for the wrong reason, inevitably it's going to go wrong, and it did. It's gone tits up, and it's no threat to us. And they're just part of our history, and I'm glad that it is part of our history and not part of our present.
But with Riley, you guys stuck it out so long and through hard times.
He's real good. I mean, he's good at keeping it rolling. He was good at maintaining a relationship with an agent and getting us out on doing these like weekend casinos and rib fests and you name it. We were playing with the usual suspects, us, Warrant, Firehouse, and Slaughter, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was a little boring, to be honest, because it was so repetitive, and we were in such a shitty slot. If we were lucky, we'd get 45 minutes, and travel all the way to Wisconsin to play 45 minutes is a bit ridiculous. So now, I really feel that we don't have to do that. We play on our own terms. We play as long as we want, play the songs we want. We don't play with those guys, and that's not because we think we're better or anything. We just feel that we'd much rather do our own thing. If the county fair wants us, that's great. You bet we'll do it. But we're doing all right. We really, really are doing fine. We had an incredible summer tour. The response from the music has been amazing. So, we're all right.